All right, hello, welcome and welcome aboard, everybody. Anyone who wants to be a part of the next panel, please come and meet our experts who are going to tell us about various elements of electrification. So, my name's Ian Moxon. I was on the previous panel, but we're here to discuss over the next sort of 40 odd minutes, as well as allowing for some time for questions. We're here to discuss electrification. So that's, the idea of electrifying everything in your home and how that's going to work out. I might just have to take that out of there, it's not working out. I've got some really fantastic guests. So the people that are here today that you can ask questions of, we're going to learn about what they've got to offer us. Selena Griffith is here from, I put down Electrify McKellar, amongst many things. Terry Nehemiah, who's here from the Department of Climate Change, Energy, Environment and Water. Jackie Grove is going to represent Council, so what Northern Beaches Council's providing for us. We've got Graham Hunt here from Renew, and Graham also has a bunch of other hats, including sustainable architecture, etc. And we've got Bryn here, who was on the previous panel from Ausgrid, who's going to give us some of his great experience again. Anyone who missed the previous panel, there's a lot of change going on, and so there's a lot for us to investigate. So I'd just like to ask the panel initially just to give us a bit of a one-liner about what it is about electrification. What is their area of expertise? So, Graham, if I could start with you.
Thanks, Ian. As Ian mentioned, I'm an architect with a focus in sustainability. I'm also a NADAS assessor, which is thermal energy efficiency of new homes. But I'm also representing Renew. Renew is a not-for-profit organisation that's been here for 40 years, and we provide independent advice to the public on energy efficiency, sustainable living and renewable energy. And we've got a stall over here in the Berry Hall if you want to come and check us out. Thank you.
Excellent. Jackie, tell us about what you do at Council.
My role at Council is to deliver corporate sustainability and climate change adaptation for our organisation. So my real role is helping us to meet our targets that have been adopted for our organisation. So that includes renewable energy, energy efficiency works, and developing policies and strategies.
Excellent. Okay, great. So we're seeing events like this, councils promoting to bring good information. So fantastic work. Terry, tell us about what you do.
Hey, so I am an electrical engineer. I spent most of my career in power systems. I worked for Endeavour before joining government, but now I look after a whole bunch of different sustainability, energy efficiency, electrification initiatives from the electric vehicle team that's sitting out there, and it's definitely worth a chat to as we try and electrify our modes of transport through to ways and means that we can electrify our households, particularly in the interest of reducing demand on the electricity network and both at peak and more broadly, and supporting businesses along that journey so that they can save money and get to net zero.
Cool, thank you. Selena.
I do wear hats, lots of them, but I come today from a sustainability and a sustainable living perspective. So I'm a consumer, I live in McKellar, and I founded with some others Electrify McKellar, which is a organisation that has conversations about how you can plan to electrify your life, and the idea of moving away from non-renewable resources in a very steadied and considered and sustainable way.
Great, thank you. And Bryn, let us know what you're up to. I mean, some people might have seen the previous one, but tell us what you do.
Yeah, hello. My name's Bryn, and I work with Ausgrid, which is your network. So we connect you as a customer to the grid, and we allow the safe, reliable and affordable flow of electrons from your home to others, if you've got your own renewable resources, or if you don't, then from the generators of electrons to your home so that you can use them.
Great, thank you. Awesome. All right, so we've got a wealth of information here that we're going to take from. There's a bunch of slides that are going to come up as well. So it's a little tricky for the panel. So occasionally they might lean forward or step out of their seat. I might step around to have a look at them as well. I'm going to start with my first question, which is, one of the most sort of common things that we discuss now. It's why get off gas? If you're going to go down the electrification path, why get off gas? And Selena, what would you recommend?
Well, getting off gas is a fun exercise. 13 years ago when we renovated our house, I put in gas hot water, gas heating and gas cooktop and a gas oven because that was, at the time, technologically wise, the most sustainable way to power, heat and cook in your house, but is also heavily toxic. So has anyone got gas here? Who's on gas? Who's got sticky film all over their cupboards in the kitchen? That is toxic stuff that comes out of cooking with gas. So you want to remove that from your life, and it can be terrifying and a bit scary to remove that. It's a non-renewable resource that's been marketed very heavily to us as the only way to cook, but having converted to everything electric in our house probably about 10 years ago, I can tell you that I don't miss gas at all. My cooking is just as good. Everyone's still surviving okay, and we're not breathing in a whole lot of yucky stuff. And there's lots of good government incentives, and some of the other panellists might be able to elucidate on those. But there's for your hot water, you can get off and use a heat pump. Well, I've got solar hot water on my house. There's lots of different solutions. They're much more efficient than gas. The challenge of getting off gas is actually getting the infrastructure removed from your property. So you can get off gas, but if you leave the infrastructure on your property, you will still be charged a connection fee whether you're using it or not. So you then need to negotiate.
Might change in the future.
Yeah, you need to negotiate with your supplier to have that removed. I know that when I had mine removed, there was about a $1,500 cost to get that taken off. And it took them about 12 months to come and remove mine. So I just invoiced them for $1,500 for rent for leaving it on my property, and I haven't heard back anything from the supplier.
That's a good innovation, isn't it? Okay. Come and ask Selena about how to do that at the end of the show.
I do know that, and I don't know yet, I should know, but I don't know that whether or not that cost has been removed. I think it should be removed.
I know that in some states they've locked it down to fixed prices and the like. We'll see progress on that, I'm sure, as the demand increases for people to remove those points.
And don't panic. You don't have to do it immediately, but plan. And we've got a little planner which we'll show you later on how to do that.
Terry, have you got any thoughts on this topic?
I do. Funny you ask. Look, there's so many really good reasons to get off gas. From a whole of energy system perspective, we can save energy. That's, I think, we often pigeonhole some of our discussions on demand side energy usage around electricity, but it's worth. I mean, and certainly from a state government perspective, we have a bit easier access to visually see the overall energy usage of the state, from oils and petrols and things like that through to gas and electricity. And ultimately, in most cases, it's substantially less energy to go to electrified solutions, particularly when we're talking about heat pumps. Whether that's space heating, and in Australia we call them air conditioners for some reason, but if you go to lots of other places around the world, a space heater that we call an air conditioner is called a heat pump, because it's the same thing. It's so when it's reverse cycle and it's warming your room, it's a heat pump as well. So it's not whilst heat pump hot waters are relatively new to some people, that concept is not new to Australia at all. It's been around for a long time, and it's a very, very amazing technology. It seems to be able to break the laws of physics if you are an energy person. And when I first read that in one of my esteemed panel members' siblings' books showing that it was 300% efficient, and was like, that doesn't make sense. But it's because it's just moving, a heat pump is just moving heat from one place to another and not actively heating itself. When you compare it to an electrical resistive heating, it's up to 300% efficient, and that's just remarkable from an actual ability to save energy. And then, as I alluded to in the panel session earlier, there's so many other reasons other than saving energy, reducing carbon emissions. There's the whole health cost that you're burning gas in a house, whether that's on the stove, whether that's in an unflued heating scenario, is just releasing so many things into your household environment that you want to try and avoid. And then there's that whole picture, which I know that there's plenty of representatives here from the business community, that getting off gas isn't just something you can do in the house. Getting off gas is a huge opportunity for in a commercial environment. There are many, many situations where commercial environments need hot water, often at a much larger scale, but there are commercial-sized heat pumps that can heat water for laundries, for all those sorts of environments. And the energy savings are just as remarkable and therefore times by a much bigger multiplier. So opportunities at every level, and opportunities to benefit the electricity network and save yourself money at the same time.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, so look, there's more and more, we're learning more and more about the impact that gas is having, and for many years it was one of those technologies that was sort of touted as, one of those fuels that was touted as, we'll move away from coal, we'll move through gas and eventually onto hydrogen and the like. We're actually seeing that accelerate in a different direction now because of the sort of, renewables that are in the market and the improvement in technologies like heat pumps. So that's fantastic. Jackie, is it talking about that sort of commercial side of things? What's council been sort of, working towards? What's council's journey?
Well, our journey began in 2019 when council adopted our environment and climate change strategy, and within that there were a whole lot of targets both for our community but also for council as a business, as an organisation. So those targets have been really useful for us to be able to take action and get changes made that we need to make to meet our targets. So we've done a whole lot of work around energy efficiency upgrades. We've been working closely with Ausgrid to upgrade our street lighting. We've almost completed those works for both our residential roads and our main roads, saving us lots of emissions. We've done a lot of energy efficient upgrades to our facilities lighting. We've done upgrades for heating, for our air conditioning. We've also done a lot of sports field lighting upgrades. In addition to that, we've also installed a whole lot of solar, up to 950 kilowatts on our facilities now, and we're also transitioning our fleet to lower emission vehicles. We've got 16 electric battery EVs in our fleet now, and up to 13 plug-in or hybrid EVs. And from January 1st, 2021, all our buildings are now, and our electricity is now 100% renewable. So that's saving us up to 80% of our emissions. And if there are any businesses here that are interested, council's also helping our businesses to go down this same path. So if you want to know more about that, head in to see CAD in the building next door. The next step we're focusing on is reducing our remaining emissions. And this for us means transitioning away from gas. We're going to continue to do more energy efficiency upgrades, but our next plan is to finalise and then implement our transition from gas plans. And we've been doing audits and assessments, so working out where our gas using facilities are and what it is, and then developing action plans to make that change to electrification. And for us, it's the same as for a household. It means transitioning our hot water, transitioning our cooking and transitioning our heating from gas to electricity.
So good to know that people in this local government area are paying council rates, but the council is actually being really responsible and moving along abruptly with this stuff. Really fantastic lead. And probably there'd be some great examples of sites that council's already done and moving along. What sort of areas are there that there's gas that you might be sort of looking at now?
We've got gas heating in a whole lot of our facilities, small hot water services and those sorts of things, and we're just about to take out gas out of get rid of gas fully out of one of our sites down at Manly. Say for our renewable energy, we've got a 265 kilowatt system on our Manly Andrew Boyd Charlton pool, which is one of our biggest systems on the northern beaches. Our other gas-using sites are all over the place. We've got 500 buildings in our council area, so we needed to understand where they all are. Obviously, the age of the system, so prioritise ones that are older first to take them out, and then put in place a plan over the next years to transition all those appliances to electric.
That sounds exactly like the journey households are going through, right? So a bit of an assessment on what you might be wanting to change and then going out, pricing and looking at the technology that's available. So that's really relevant, thank you. Look, I think that idea of taking a practical approach, there's probably a lot of a lot of questions about how you would undertake that. So perhaps, Selena, you might be able to give us, share some idea about homes and businesses and how they might actually take that path themselves.
Yeah, so who's got an electric appliance in their house? So you're already on the journey. It's pretty easy. So we've developed some pretty easy checklists for you to do, and we've given you a 20-year time frame to do it. My brother Saul talks a lot about replacing all the machines, so it's a very simple conversation. And the first two things you can do immediately without replacing anything, it's literally with a phone call. So make sure that you're using a green energy provider, so that's not using any renewables to power your house. The second thing is make sure your investments, and I know council's probably looking at their investment strategy as part of their sustainability. I know when I was on Pittwater Council, we put solar on every asset we had, so you've had shoulders to stand on, and you're taking that on really well with the newer council. But it's just making those investment decisions as a household that you would normally make. So the next lot is getting off gas. So do your investments, super, get off your gas. And there's lots of different things that might be powered by gas in your family. And I often have conversations and I say, how's your hot water service? Is it gas or electric? And I'd say 50% more people don't know whether they're using gas or electricity, and they're getting two bills. So there's an economic sense of only paying for one set of connection to one energy source. There's the health benefits, and there's the cost benefits of going electric here. And once you've gotten off the gas, which is a great thing, then you can start looking at your solar. And a lot of people equate this journey with the only thing you can do is put solar on your roof. Now, not all the houses in I think Dave from Solar Pro just reminded me, he put our first solar system on about 15 years ago, and he said, how's that tree going out the front? And we put on a second solar system and a battery since then, and we're producing quite nicely. We paid the systems off, but the way I financed that second solar system was I had to refinance my mortgage. So I just adding 10 or 15 grand to your mortgage and paying that lower rate to install your system makes it easy. So every 4 to 5 years you've got to renew your mortgage. Why don't you bundle that into your package and plan it in that way? If you're fortunate enough not to have a mortgage, find another creative way to fund that solar. But you don't have to have that solar if you've already gotten onto the renewable energies provider. So don't anguish about not either being able to afford or physically being capable of putting solar on your roof. But then you can start looking, once you've done that, then there's the next investment, which is getting away from the combustion engine vehicles and onto an electrical vehicle. That can be fun, and it can also... my brother's just bought a 1930s motorbike with a sidecar, which he's converting to electric. So if you're technical, you can do something fun like that. My friend Mark's up the back here. He buys old Tesla batteries and he converts them into house batteries. Like, you can do creative stuff to go on this journey, whether you're technical or not. You can find other people that are on that journey too and be part of the committee. So one of the things we do as Electrify McKellar is provide you these to download off our website, or you can come and grab a hard copy from us and have those conversations. And sometimes, might talk to your neighbours in the street. Everyone might want to be going solar. So you could then bundle together and get a discount on everyone at the same time getting it installed. So get creative about it.
So local groups like Electrify McKellar providing resources to help you down that path so that you can approach it sensibly. That's a big help. And there's some really fantastic resources that have come about in the last couple of years through Rewiring Australia, which is where Electrify McKellar sort of spawns from, as well as groups all over the country. We're seeing an explosion of that kind of information. It makes it really easy for us to follow those steps. I think that's fantastic.
And I think the same. So, as you said, small business can make the same decisions, but also local government can have a policy. I saw a councillor or two wandering around. We could put up a policy that no new approvals for any residences have gas on it, where it's legal for us to do that. So, shall we call to action our councillors to
we
make some good
might hold
decisions?
off on call to actions today, but it's a good suggestion. Thank you. All right. Look, I think while we're talking about the sort of practical steps, coming from an energy efficiency background, I've done thousands of energy assessments. I think it's really important to sort of consider your home, the actual, the fabric of the building that you're dealing with, and the kind of things that can make a vast impact while you're looking at these kinds of changes. Graham, with your experience, would you be able to give us a bit of an idea, the kind of things that people might undertake when they're, say, a new build, a renovation, or retrofitting their home with these kind of things? What steps should people be considering?
Well, it's a big topic, but it's certainly important to keep energy efficiency in mind. If we all reduced our energy consumption by 20%, say, the amount of solar farms and everything else we'd have to build is significantly reduced. For new homes, it's a fairly simple process. You have to get your new home rated, either using a NATA scheme or using a passive house system. The sweet spot for a NATA's rating is 7.5 to 8.5 stars to make them energy efficient. If you go beyond that, the return on investment isn't as good, but if you want to have a really efficient home, there's nothing wrong with doing that. I think I'd talk more about existing homes because most of us will be either renovating or wanting to retrofit our existing homes to make them more efficient. And there's a lot of simple things you can do, low-hanging fruit. Ensure that all the gaps are sealed around doors, under floors. Old floors will drop, especially if you're in an old home. Vents in walls that were originally put in to provide fresh air while you had your gas lighting and your gas heating are now no longer required.
Or even kerosene in the day.
Or even kerosene or your coke fire in the older days. You can seal them up without any real consequence. I'll seal up your old fireplace. Exhaust vents from bathrooms often only just go into the ceiling space. And if you put insulation in there, all that damp air out of your bathroom is just going into the ceiling space and landing on that insulation, making it damp, and that's why we get mould on our ceilings. Make sure you put those vents out through the roof to the outside, but now you can get really efficient fans that have humidity controls which will actually come on when the humidity is high. So it's not only about energy efficiency, it's also about health and reducing mould and having better quality air.
That's certainly topical as we've gone through some really wet seasons, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think everyone in Sydney's probably experienced a bit extra mould in the last few years. Yeah. So that clever design and clever sort of just looking at your building is going to make a difference on your comfort.
Well, ventilation's also effective, making sure you open windows regularly, but how do you do that and not let in too much heat or cold? So there's balances there. You need to manage your home. Adding blinds and curtains to existing windows, if you can afford it, upgrade to new windows. The windows in Australia have got a lot better in the last 10 to 15 years. You can easily now get double glazed windows, and that will make a huge difference. The older windows probably only have 4 mil of glass. They'll be leaky around the edges. You can do a lot to seal that up, but if you can afford it, it's much better to put in new more efficient windows. Adding shading, although we're having a lot of rain, we are getting into a warming climate. A lot more really hot days. Adding shading externally, pergolas, growing deciduous vines, planting trees where you can, especially on the western side, all help to reduce the heat load, and external blinds as well.
Yeah, we've certainly seen, that idea of energy use having peaks and troughs. We know that Sydney, many years ago, our largest energy use is in summer. And when you're sort of maybe down next to the beaches, it might not be as significant, but certainly further west. And for anyone who's considering a tree change or something like that down the track, being sensible with that building design and thinking those things through in advance, getting the help of someone with the right qualifications to steer you in the right direction really counts. There's some good resources out there too. So Renew has resources?
We have a lot of resources. We sell magazines. One of our magazines is called Sanctuary, which is about sustainable building. We have an annual event called Sustainable House Day, and often there's houses in the Northern Beaches which participate in that. It was held on the 21st of April, so it'll be a similar time next year, and that's where you can go and visit homes where people have already been on this journey, and you can learn from their experiences and their mistakes. That's why it's such a really powerful event.
I can testify for that because Graham actually came to my place a long time ago. It was a very good learning experience for me as well. It's put me on the right path, I've got to say. Thanks, Graham. Look, so what about people who are in sort of strata or rental properties? What sort of things? How can you pursue that electrification journey in those circumstances?
Yeah, it can be challenging, but again, the first place to start is energy efficiency. You'll get a much better bang for your buck doing simple energy efficiency things before going down the path of putting in big solar systems. And especially in apartment buildings, if you have a basement car park, you might have some of the older buildings have continuous ventilation on all the time. You can put in a carbon monoxide sensor so that it only comes on when it needs to ventilate. You can put in variable speed drives on the fans, which will reduce the fan usage. And the same on if you have a stack exhaust ventilation in your bathrooms and laundries in larger apartment buildings. Again, they're often on a constant fan that's running at a constant speed. You can put in a variable speed drive, and that will change the amount that the fan has to work. And those changes will pay for themselves in 1 or 2 years. The same with a lot of lighting in common areas, in basement car parks, might be on 24, all night or 24/7. You can quite affordably put in movement sensors, so they're turning off. So there's a lot of issues, simple things like that you can do. In terms of putting solar, and we've got the next slide talks about strategies for apartments when you want to put in solar. You've got to make sure that you have agreement amongst the body corporate, obviously, and it often helps if you have a champion, someone who can drive it. But we do have some good articles and some YouTube videos that talk about what you can do to get that. There's a company called Allume, which have a system where each apartment owner or tenant can opt to be in. Not everyone has to be in the system, but it collates all the power produced and it allocates it to whoever's using power at the time. So that's quite a good system that's appropriate for putting into apartments.
So yeah, there's a lot of growth, but whether you're renting or strata, there's a lot of opportunity, and it steps back to that idea. Step number one might be energy efficiency. Yeah, that's certainly in your realm of change, straight up. And maybe there's already things that you can't change in a rental apartment. It might be a gas cooktop. You don't have to use the gas cooktop. You can get something like an induction benchtop type device. So there are methods that you can get around to make it work in strata and in rental properties. Terry, any idea that that there might be some help in that way?
For sure, and just the direct link to the solar slide that you just had on, earlier this year, it was in January, there was a joint announcement between the state and Commonwealth government to introduce something they're calling a solar banks program, which is there to try and make that a little bit easier for strata level arrangements to fund up to 50% of the cost of multi-dwelling solar installations, because that can be quite tricky. There's additional infrastructure to make that whole system work, and it can just be an extra cost barrier to try to support apartment dwellers to get access to the solar systems that those of us that live in standalone dwellings are readily able to get quite cheaply nowadays. There's that extra hurdle. So there's a new program that's kicking off to try and help fund that. And similarly, as in on the first session, I talked briefly about there's if that all fails, and if that all's a bit too tricky, then you can go to a green retailer. and ensure you've got a renewable energy retail contract. Our green power product can give you a bit of confidence there. But stepping back to the broader landscape of electrification and what are the things you can do, and the things you can do if you're in an apartment building, for the most part, there's lots of things that are quite simple. Lots of apartment buildings don't even have gas. It's often too tricky to start with. But we certainly have incentives through our energy savings scheme and now a peak demand reduction scheme, which is they're schemes that have put value on reducing energy and reducing energy usage and particularly reducing energy at peak times where it constrains the grid. And they can provide incentives for water heating, so electrifying your water heating, alluded to at the start, so moving from a gas hot water system through to an electric hot water system, or even an old-fashioned resistive hot water system, the more costly ones, through to a heat pump or a solar boosted hot water system. So that's a nice, simple way to electrify and reduce your bills at the same time. There's also incentives for space heating in the installation of air conditioners. So there's removing the old gas hot water system. The old gas heater. Chucking in a space-efficient air conditioner there's direct incentives for that, and also then to support the broader shift to electrification and being able to get the most out of a solar panel system that you may already have. I'm really excited that the timing of this event sort of lined up. A very good announcement. Yeah. So last week the minister announced that we're adding incentives for household batteries to our peak demand reduction scheme. So effectively giving, putting a value on the amount that you can shift that energy usage from, the solar that you generate in the middle of the day and using that through a battery to not put extra demand on the electricity network in those really, really difficult times in the afternoon. There's a value that provides society and the grid, so that there's an incentive that you can get to be able to add a battery to your home, and that's going to make a huge difference, I think, to the rollout of batteries. There's talking to the guys upstairs, they're still quite expensive. It's not a cheap thing. And the more prevalent they become, the more of them that are getting installed. As happens with every single technology, the prices will come down.
That's a great point. I mean, you've got the decision to where the money comes out of your pocket can go to an electricity retailer, or you can be instead investing in your own energy system at home. That's a very powerful decision, because every dollar that goes to the retailer continues their business, but every dollar that goes into one of those up-and-coming technologies is helping to bring down the cost. That sort of larger sort of economies of scale thing comes into play. So that's the most powerful thing you can do, really, is make those decisions at home on what you choose to spend your money on.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is that we certainly appreciate in government that this is... Also, there's definitely simple things you can do to take that first step, and I think that's like having this discussion today. I'm sure there's just some really simple measures you can take to take those first few steps towards electrification and the control of your energy usage. But the further down the road you get, it does get a little bit complicated to understand what you should do next and what's the best bang for buck. And thinking and understanding that the government's committed to reducing, we call it our consumer energy strategy. It'll have a more appeasing name when it's out, because even that is a little bit energy nerd speak. But the idea is that we want to make sure we're bridging that understanding gap so that everyone can understand what are the simple things they can do to reduce their energy costs, make more sustainable energy choices, and potentially to save substantial amounts of money. And so that's coming. That's something that we're working on right now. But if I had a simple thing that you could do with a government sort of service, and this is promoting my Commonwealth counterparts, though we've had a lot to do with the developing of this. If you haven't been to a website called energymadeeasy.gov.au, so if you just remember Energy Made Easy, it's a bit like those comparison sites that try to make money off you, but it's one that doesn't make money off you. So it's and you can it's really, really simple. I was an energy nerd for a long time before I really realised how silly I was not going onto this website, because you literally put a number off the top corner of your bill that'll tell you how to find, and it can download and access your exact energy usage and your area, and tell you all, and points to all the different offers that you have from all the different retailers. So plugging that in, I could see what tariff of what bill. Like you don't have to understand all the jargon. It'll just say that one for your energy profile is cheapest. And it's like, so, yeah.
You don't have to remember the name because
Yeah.
it's actually written in fine print on your electricity bill somewhere. Energy made easy.
Yeah, it's probably
So
on
you
the
might
bill.
need a magnifying glass because not all the retailers really particularly want you to be aware of it, but it's on your electricity bill. Energy made easy. It's a truly independent comparison tool, and it's one of those great services from government that's helped.
And it just gets save you hundreds of dollars for the sake of a few clicks of a mouse, and you're like, oh, that one is hundreds of dollars cheaper. Boom.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. Let's bring that around now. We're talking about sort of services that are there to help us manage that. Bryn, I've got a question. We're talking about how the grid is changing. So what might the grid look like in an increasing electric future?
Yeah, look, that's a great question, Ian. Sorry, do you mind if we just swap chairs so I can have a look at the screen?
We're going to bring the screen around so that
perfect,
Bryn
thank
can
you.
see it. Don't hesitate if you want to hop up.
And please just jump ahead. Yep. So there's an example of a community battery. It's actually not the Warriewood battery. We have a community battery right here in Northern Beaches. So that is a larger battery that we host next to a transformer, and we're soaking excess solar and then providing it back to customers at the time of day when they actually want it. So between 4 and 9 p.m. Go to the next slide. So a bunch of graphs. What do they really say? Really what we need to see here is that they're all going up. So if we look at what EVs are projected to do, that's the very left-hand graph. We're starting really low. But what are we expecting to see in the next 20 years? That number's going to go up. And we're thinking around 8% of the EVs in our network are going to be in Northern Beaches. So that's a lot of energy that used to come from petrol and diesel, now moving over to electricity. So that's one important trend. The second one, I think, is what the demand looks like. And that's how much the network is expecting to see demand of energy when we see what we call demand. It's when everyone's using it. So from around 3 or 4 p.m. through until around 9 p.m. So it's going to increase by about 30% over the next 20 years. And we're already ready for that. We can cater for that. So, and then the last graph shows what is the trend that we expect on solar across the network and batteries. So the taller line is the solar, and the bottom line is the battery. So we're expecting to see nearly 1 million customers with solar by about 2040, 2050, out of our 1.8 million. Probably more customers by then. So, but we're going from 300,000 up to around 900,000 over that time. So we're seeing a lot more energy in the system. We're also seeing more load in the system. If we go to the next slide. So at the moment, you can see, I guess, 2 different homes here. One is, I guess, a fully electric home, and the other one is your more standard home. And there's probably 5 conversations that householders are going to have over the next few years around what do some of the machines that we've already talked about, what are they going to look like? So your car, it's currently petrol or diesel. Maybe the next one's electric. Your water heater, maybe it's gas. The next one's electric. Your cooktop, maybe it's gas, the next one's electric. So these are the conversations that we're going to have in our families to go, well, what does the next appliance look like? There's maybe a home battery. You don't have to have a home battery. If you've got the roof for it, maybe you've got solar. But Ausgrid's going to play a role in sharing those customer energy resources, or what we call CER. And really what we want to do is democratise energy so that others that don't have access to those resources can still benefit from them, and the customers that do have them can also benefit from sharing them. So that next slide, which we're on, thank you, is really showing there are going to be some households that just won't be able to do it, like some strata, some older homes, and they're still going to get the benefit of that broader trend, because the network will be able to share the electrons at the right time with the right scheduling and coordination. So the important thing is, when are we using energy? We want to use it at the right time. If we have solar, we want to use it as much as we can. And if we have transport, we need to look at options that move us away from fossil fuels. So they're the conversations that we're going to be having. They're the investments we're going to be making. And a lot of them make sense. You're going to save money by making these changes. Others are getting close to that tipping point, and some are a little further away than others. So the network's there, I guess, to evolve over time. It used to be big generation, from gas and coal, and then sending energy one way to where it was being used. And what's happening now is, well, my home is a little mini power plant. I'm now a power plant, and my energy is now also sometimes going to others. So the grid is evolving and adapting to help make that happen so that it can benefit the broader system, but in a safe and reliable way. So there will be changes that will happen, and we'll be providing, I guess, education and material. We'll also be making, I guess, changes to tariffs. We'll be investing in the network in new ways, and we'll be partnering with retailers who are a really important part of this conversation about how can this be done in a really sensible and coordinated way.
I mean, so our grid's been changing since we started building it, and it's going to continue to change as we move through these new phases that come through, the energy that we're using in our homes. Some basic things that we've sort of discussed already, the idea that you're changing over appliances to something new. A heat pump. We pretty much all have heat pumps in our home already. It's a fridge. Yeah, so a metal box that casts away heat and hangs on to cool. So, your heat pump hot water system is kind of really the reverse of that. So we're not really going to be adapting to anything really wildly new. And I think electric transport, we're going to hear a bit about that in the panels that come along. I mean, actually some of the earliest cars that were ever made were all electric. So there's definitely some growth and change. What we've got here in this panel is, local council, we've got state government, we've got agencies that produce, great information for us to use. We've got our local network, and we've got Selena here representing, the local community. There are resources available to you to take those steps. So you're not going about it in the dark. Make use of the resources that are there. And so just to sort of wrap up this panel discussion, I'm going to ask everybody, just briefly, about the steps that they've done in their own homes, because that's really relevant, isn't it? It's like, well, what are you doing? What am I doing? So let's start. Graham, can you give us an idea? What sort of steps have you taken, or what's next for you?
Okay, yes, thanks. And about 7 years ago, we live in an old terrace house in the inner west. We had an unflued gas heater, which was on its last legs. And so I got rid of that, and we put in a convection panel radiant heater in the short term because we knew we were going to renovate. So a year later we renovated, and we used that as an opportunity to put in solar panels. We replaced a lot of the older windows, timber windows, with better upgraded windows, resealed a lot of the old doors, added a new room and insulated heavily, put in air conditioning in the living room and in one of the bedrooms, put in ceiling fans. We didn't at that point get rid of the gas cooker. We had an odd-shaped gas cooker, and it was difficult to find an induction that fitted. So it took us a while, but our comfort levels increased significantly. We hardly use the air conditioning for cooling. We got in really good ceiling fans. It's a solid brick home, so it has a lot of thermal mass. We mainly, heating is our problem. Last year we replaced the induction cooktop, and that's been brilliant. None of the grime that Selena was talking about, and much better air quality. And the only thing remaining to do now is insulate under the floor to reduce our heating man, which I didn't do initially because I modelled the house, and it was telling me that it was going to retain too much heat in summer. But we don't have a cooling problem in summer. Our problem is winter. So that's my next step.
That's the very fine end that an architect decides to do with their home. It may not be your first step, but thanks, Graham. That's fantastic. Okay. Jackie, what about yourself?
I'll say similar to Graham. We've lived in our house for a few years and have been doing some upgrades and modifications, and have changed over windows to double glazed windows and put ceiling fans in all our bedrooms. And about 3 or 4 years ago, we changed over our gas hot water service to heat pump, and that's been brilliant since then. And more recently, we've removed our gas heating and put in reverse cycle air conditioning, which is a much nicer heat. And the same thing, we don't have a big problem with cooling. We don't need it for cooling, but we need it for heating. So, and along the way, we've replaced all our lights with energy efficient LED lights. And we've still got our gas cooktop. It's the last thing that we're doing, and that'll probably come next year. But it's like a plan. It's the same thing that we've been doing at work. We know what we need to do, and we've just got a plan to do it. And probably next year we'll get there.
And so that, you know, there's the sensible benefit of that once you step away from the gas, that 80 cents to $1 a day, $300 odd a year, $3,000 over the next decade, that budget goes into buying that new cooktop.
That's right.
It's fantastic saving. Terry?
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar. I've changed over our hot water system to we've gone for a solar one. This may be people that are going through this journey. One of the challenges we had is there was no room for a heat pump system on the outside of the house, or certainly not in anywhere that was going to be useful to have a hot water system. So we ended up finding that the rooftop solar was the best option. So like you may get heat pump as the idea and I want to get one of those, and it just might not work. As long as it's still electrified, it's better than nothing. I haven't gone so far as the EV yet, despite as my embarrassment. But I guess particularly looking after the EV team. But that's partially because I don't really drive that much. I work from home and I catch public transport. So one of my philosophies in the EV space is that we don't want to replace every single petrol car with an EV. We shouldn't need to do that. There's smarter ways to get around than everyone owning an electric car. As much as possible, if you're still driving, I want to get those into an EV, more EVs on the road. But if public transport is a very, very efficient way to get around, riding a bike, just walking, they're all things you can do they may not be electrified, but they're at least removing the fossil fuel consumption part of that of that equation.
Yep, so we're all on the journey in various ways. Tell us, Bryn.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. First step, I put solar on. I mean, even though I had to borrow money to do it, it's the payback from the system was so good that I went, okay, I'm still making money. I'm borrowing money, but I'm getting paid back faster than I'm having to pay back the loan. So for me, that was a simple choice. And so I installed solar, immediately got that bill relief or that improvement, and I started to pay attention to when my energy was being produced and when I was using it. So then that was my journey to start to make changes. So then I went to an electric ducted air conditioner, but I also asked for them to give me a controller that linked to my Wi-Fi so I could turn it on remote. So now it's wonderful. I can look at the energy price and go, gee, it's really cheap and it's a stinking hot day and I'm going to be home in 2 hours. I'm turning my aircon on now. I want to cool my home before I even get there, and it's at a wonderful temperature and it's at the cheapest energy. So
there's a lot of great automation coming along, isn't there? And make that work easy on us. And I mean, whether or not you're techno savvy, there are huge options there to be able to program things or to pay someone to program it so that it does that kind of smart work for you.
So I think having smarter electrical appliances is also not a silly way to go. And apps are so easy now. It's very simple for me to go, that's my air conditioner. Yes, I want it on. A little dial and go, yeah, that's the temperature I want. And then it does it for me. I can go home and it's comfortable, or my kids are coming home and they're comfortable. And I've done it at a time when it's really energy and cost efficient to do so. I went to an EV as well. My company that I work for, Ausgrid, is supporting its employees to go electric as well. So we get a novated lease program, and the government has done a great job of providing that extra financial benefit under a novated lease for an EV. So if your company offers a novated lease option, really consider that with an EV, because it really does improve the economics of having one. And I've also made the change with a heat pump hot water system with thermal storage, and I've got that solar optimised. So that's been my journey. It's
a representative of Ausgrid really going for it. I love it, don't you? Love that. Selena, tell us about your journey.
Oh, we've done all of above. We moved into it was built in the 1950s-ish. There's no records on council because someone burnt them down during a Warringah Council episode.
How convenient.
Yeah, it was. But someone had nailed shut and painted shut all of our windows in our house, and there were 7 air conditioning units when we moved in. So the first thing we did was unglue the windows and put mosquito screens on so we could cool the house. And we're saving for double glazing. But this solar on the roof battery, we put our first solar system on 15 years ago, and it was supposed to pay off over 4 years, and it paid off just over 2. And that was back when you could get 46 cents a kilowatt feeding back into the system. we now get 7 cents, but the new system's paying itself and its battery off quite well because we can regulate our use. And I think this smarter technologies are coming, and it's good. But some behaviour change stuff that we've done, like working out when to run the dishwasher or the clothes or the dryer, if it's wet, where there's a lot of wet, or when to use the heaters, wearing jumpers, using less heaters, making sure there's less drafts around the house. Closing doors, putting good curtains on is another good one for energy efficiency.
Absolutely.
But that little behaviour change things are quite easy to do, and Renew's got great information on how to do that.
Yeah, so behaviour change is important, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll find once you invest in some of this stuff, you're sort of generating energy during the day for solar, for instance, you go, well, I want to make the most of it. So that's a natural progression. We'll all do that. Just stepping over the hurdle is what you've got to start with.
Add on the electric vehicle. So I travel extensively all over Australia for work. I've stopped flying and I now drive instead to Melbourne, Brisbane and Adelaide when I need to. It's nice to take the weekend off, but it costs me $10 on my trickle feed with a normal standard plug-in to charge my car to drive 500 Ks. So I'm saving that way. And one big thing that I think a lot of people on the northern beaches could really think about is, why are you lighting your front yards and your houses at night? There is no reason to. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for you.
I think sometimes that's for insects. But they seem to buzz around lights, don't they?
Well, we've stopped lighting the front. We've now got a powerful owl that's keeping the possums down. It's
we
great.
like that.
Yeah.
Bring the powerful owl back. So last few minutes. So I'm hoping there'll be some questions. Yep, great. We've got a question down there. I'll give you my microphone. How about that?
Thank you. Hi, Tanya from Narara Eco Village, and we're very grateful for Graham's knowledge over many, many years. Community batteries. We're really loving ours and learning a lot by sharing it. And I'm driving down here in a car share trial that we're operating in an EV. Questions to Bryn and to Jackie about the interest in community batteries. And I know that last year when there was Electrify Mackellar, with Saul was here and you, at Avalon. So I'm just wondering how much interest there is in people getting engaged in that.
So I would say there's a phenomenal amount of interest in community batteries. I think it resonates well with that sense of community around, and also I think we need battery storage at every level of the system. So home batteries, substation, zone substation, and then at grid scale. So we're talking like those massive South Australian Hornsdale batteries. So storage throughout the whole system is going to provide a lot of benefit both to the energy system and then to the end consumer. We've done a trial with 3 community batteries in 3 locations, and we took the learnings from that, which then went back to the regulator, and then we then were asked to bid for installation of community batteries on the DQ trial. So Ausgrid has 6 batteries that are now installed or being installed in the network, so we'll have 9 in total when we're finished. That are providing that community benefit. So that's sort of 500 kilowatts, so 100 times or between 50 and 100 times the size of a residential battery, located at a zone or a district, and then it will service a few hundred customers. And so it's soaking surplus solar and then providing it back to those customers when they need it, which is when the sun's down. And then that's increasing the level of renewables in that little pocket of the grid. So the broader system might have a smaller percentage of renewables, but in those pockets where those community batteries are, the percentage of renewables is now higher because it's being used.
I can just say from the council's point of view, we have been working with Ausgrid to install 2 community batteries, one for the trial at Beacon Hill and now one at Warriewood. So we're very keen to work with Ausgrid to support the installation of community batteries.
Yeah, I'll just say that everyone I talk to loves community batteries, but I know there's been a little bit of resistance, a little bit of NIMBYism about it, but as soon as they go in, that dies off and everyone's happy that they're there. So I think it's about sort of thinking constructively about why you're getting this asset and the benefits it brings both you and the community. And there's misinformation around the impacts. They're very little impact other than the fact you've got this thing there and it's generally landscape well, you won't see it, and it's bringing so much positive outcome to the community that it should be there.
Great. Any other questions? Because we're running low on time. Got a question? Anyone? We're good? Look, if you do... Oh, you have one more question I think we should ask, and then we'll probably pack it in.
With the community batteries, how does that actually work? Like, who gets to use them? Like,
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the batteries are being installed as part of a trial. And so once we install it, we're the network. We don't sell energy. So we're installing the battery, and then we're providing the services over to a retailer. And the retailer then manages the function of the battery.
Look, everybody, thank you for being a part of today's presentation and this great panel. Can we give them a round of applause, please? Yep, Selena, Terry, Jackie, Graham and Bryn. There's an opportunity to ask these guys a few more questions if you want. We can ask them to sort of marshal in the sort of building next door in the front room there. So if you've got some further questions, but also, you know, some of these good folk are actually running stalls. Time-wise, we've got another whole panel to come up. So I want to say thank you to Council for the Net Zero effort they've put on here. And the next panel, I think, is the future of transport coming up in just the next couple of minutes. So stick around. Thank you.